I'm milling about with David Verbeek, and he's the director writer of The Wolf, the Fox, and the Leopard, which is premiering at the 2025 Tribeca Film Festival. Hi, David.
Hi, how you doing?
So, how do I describe this film? It's wonderful, it's wild, it's like all that wrapped into one. So, talk about what possessed you to want to do a film like this.
Well, I've always been fascinated by these ancient fairy tales of feral people, and I think what they really represent is, or what they really try to dissect is our relationship with nature. And I wanted to do a film like that was very contemporary in nature as well. So my basic question was, if we were to find someone in the wild right now, a human being minus the programming, what right would we have to teach this person what it means to be human in a time that there's so much polarization, politically, but on so many fronts, and that we are becoming so aware about the harm that we're doing to the planet. So I just thought that this kind of ancient fairy tale like topic was something that was interesting to kind of reimagine in contemporary times.
Yeah, I mean, would you have ever thought that you would just get away from society, go out into the woods, live your life in that way? Have you ever fantasized about that?
I have actually, yes. I
Yeah.
mean, growing up, I would fantasize about that, and I think I changed my mind about that. But I remember when I was young, and I would, for example, get confronted by people talking about very heavy subjects like suicide. I would always think like, I would never commit suicide. I mean, I can imagine that I might become very sick of these rules and these norms and everything that we are forced to live by. But what I would do is I would just go to the jungle and just live there. And But I mean, now that I've experienced more, and also now that I've spent more time in nature, I don't romanticize it as much anymore. I mean, I think that would ultimately result in a very painful death. So I mean, I think also that with this film, I tried not to have, like, Rousseau's image of, like, the noble savage. I mean, nature is very brutal, and it doesn't care about us. And I think one of the main points that I try to make with this film is that we tend as human beings also to always to put ourselves at the center of the story. But the story of the reality of the universe is it does not put us at the center at all. Nature is ruthless, and it does not care about us. It also doesn't care about our good intentions at this point with what we might still want to do with the environment, or how we might want to make peace with the environment and all that. If it's too late, it's too late. And so I think it's more what we need now as a society, globally, is a spiritual awakening. We need to realize that we are not the center, and we need to be confronted with the fact that we've always been telling ourselves and each other stories. That's our evolutionary superpower, that we tell stories. But what is really going on is, just that we are a part, of course, of this world, of this vast ecosystem. And we are not the protagonist.
Absolutely not. So I want to talk to you about Jessica Reynolds and her wonderful performance. When she's running through the woods barefoot, I kept thinking, oh my God, she's going to step on something. That's going to be the end of that. So,
Yeah,
yeah, talk about what sort of paces she was put through to portray the wolf,
yeah. Well, I
wolf
mean, we
girl.
I was lucky enough to discover her through vast numbers of casting tapes very early on, and she was very outstanding. And I realized that I had to get someone who really fit the bill in many aspects. So I asked everyone whether they had affinity with dogs because they had to work with wolves. And I think it really helps if you have an affinity with dogs, that you might, you might get along with them and you might sense them and have more feeling with them. I think that was very important. And she had had a dog that had died recently, and she was in mourning over it, and she was very attached to it. So all these things help. But she also had a background as an athlete, as a turner, and because I realized it was going to be physically also very, very demanding. So we for many months she had a movement coach.
Hmm.
And there was actually also a lot of meditation involved because it was really about I mean, we would go into the forest. James Berkery, which was her movement coach in the UK, in London, they used to go into the park, like a forest-like park, and sit
Hyde
there and run
Park?
around. Yeah, and I don't remember which park, but it was a big park. It was at the edge of London, and I went there a couple of times as well. And we would, do these improvisational exercises and learn, of course, how to walk on all fours and walk fast on all fours. And so that was all part of it. And she also, since the film has so many stages where she goes basically from a human being, everything stripped down that is nurtured, to more and more an adjusted human being, according to our rules and our civilization. So there were all these stages where she had to walk up more and more straight, and where so there was lots of posture exercises and lots of speech therapy. And it was but also the meditation was very, very fundamental, because I required her to be in a state where she was basically just experiencing very purely the here and now. And that's also something that nowadays we're not that good at anymore. We're always,
No.
the little monkey in the brain is always mulling over what we're going to do tomorrow and what we're stressed about. And her state of being in nature with these wolves, which was really about being in the here and now, which doesn't mean it's like a constantly blissful state. It's also full of stress and hunger and discomfort, but it's always focused on being in the here and now. And
Very animalistic.
right. So that was a big process. And to answer your query about how we make her run so fast through these, I mean, we had all kinds of tricks, like a little skin colored gloves, and also covering the feet, so because I mean, I did really require her to run for hundreds of meters on all fours with the wolves together, and it's all in one shot. So it's also, I mean, it's not edited. It's not, we don't lie about it. We really put her in there with a pack of real wolves, that had gotten accustomed to her smell, and that she had gotten to know, and trained wolves, but real
I
wolves.
hope
And
so.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
How cool. How cool. So what did she eat? There were times when she, had to like, attack something and then eat it. So what
yeah,
was that?
yeah. So she's actually vegetarian.
I knew it.
Of course, this is going to happen. You're going to cast somebody to be a wolf to actually eat meat, and then they end up being vegetarian.
Of course.
But no, what she did. I mean, there is one scene where she devours a squirrel raw, and we shot that part in Luxembourg, and we had someone to make the squirrel, to recreate the squirrel, which is actually kind of a stuffed animal. And what was in there was a tofu. So we stuffed
That's
it and
so
filled it up with tofu, with like red bean sauce, or soya sauce, anything that would look like blood. It worked like a charm. Yeah.
it
So
does.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
really, really works.
it's unpleasant to look at. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk about the beautiful locations. Where was this shot?
Well, it was shot in very, very small patches of forest in the middle of Europe, in Luxembourg. And
Oh,
I mean, they don't have vast stretches of like Alaskan like forest, which is actually what I was looking for. But they do have the forest that they do have. If you take the right angles, and that's always what filmmaking is about, just cheating and lying your way through, and finally presenting, and all that matters is what's on screen, of course. So we had small patches of forest, but also with wild rocks and all that, and that helped a lot. And so that's what you're seeing there. We shot the film in Luxembourg, in Croatia, and in Taiwan. And in
yeah.
Taiwan, I shot some more of the beautiful subtropical forest covered mountains. And so what you see is a mishmash of the stuff that I shot with my camera, being in Taiwan for the later part, and Luxembourg. And the society part also, I really wanted it to look like a place that could be anywhere in the West. So I wanted it to be non-specific. It shouldn't look like New York or like Berlin or London. It should just look like something that could be anywhere in the West. And for that, we shot in Luxembourg, but not in the historic center, but in like the more generic places around it. And then the oil rig is
Yes,
interesting, the abandoned oil rig in the middle of the ocean. It's very difficult to shoot on an oil rig because
I
there's all
bet.
kinds of safety concerns, and it's actually a very dangerous workplace. So finally, through my old Croatian friend Sinisa Juricic, who also worked on my previous film as a producer, Full Contact, I managed to get an oil rig that was actually stationed in the harbor in Pula, on the Dalmatian coast. So we shot on the real oil rig for some exterior shots, and then we had to like brush away the land in post that you could still see in some of the shots. And then we combine that by actually also renting a ferry and going onto the Dalmatian Sea there, and shooting more shots of the open, and also an abandoned power facility in the basements to get the more interior look. So that's actually three locations all mashed together to create this world. Very little CGI, but just a mishmash of locations to create the illusion of actually being on an abandoned oil rig.
It really is stunning. And of course, on the oil rig, Jessica has to be on her hands and knees running through
Yeah,
like and climbing. And she
yeah.
was astonishing. Oh my God.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I think I'm very, very happy with all the performances in the film. I think everyone was so dedicated and gave everything they had for this project. But Jessica, especially, of course, she's in almost every shot. And I couldn't have asked for someone who has more raw, unbelievable talent than dedication. And she just gave her everything in every scene. And I mean, it's very interesting when you are in the presence of an actress or an actor that is just so incredibly in character, and that has so much dedication and is so magical on the screen. It's like you can just when we were shooting from the first week on, we just everyone whenever the camera was rolling, it was just like, of course it's always silent, but it was like it almost felt extra silent, because I mean, whatever we saw through the lens was just so real and so impressive, and she just put such a good performance on that really makes the whole film set, channel its focus. And I've
Mhm.
done 9 films, and this was really like extraordinary for me to witness such talent in front of the
Yeah.
camera.
So when we first started chatting, we were talking about leaving society. Do you feel like the big theme of this is what it really means to be human in a way?
Yeah, I kind of I want to challenge the audience to look at society from the perspective of an outsider. Yeah, and it's like that also when you travel to another country, right? Like I've made several films before also about Asia, and spent a lot of time in Taiwan and in China, and you have something that locals don't see. Of course, when you just go somewhere and you're a tourist, you have too much distance. But if you invest a little more time and you go a little deeper, then it's like, locals, it's their hand. They cannot see it in focus, but because you just have this distance, you can see it clearly. And it's the same thing that I wanted to do now with humanity in general. It's just, I wanted to make a film where you experience very normal interactions between people, but from the outside. And to kind of again realize how much storytelling and how much construct there is involved in the social contract in every of our interactions, and and how far removed it is from what just feels natural in many occasions. And also in the oil rig, like her parents, so to speak, they really you really kind of watch them from a distance, and that's why I directed them in a way that they're not necessarily likable, but they're also not horrible. They're somewhere in the middle, and you keep kind of a distance, and you realize that it's so forceful what they're doing to be in this kind of utopian state where you basically I think humans have an incredible ability to make things real with their willpower and their imagination. And so you were witnessing people that believe that they are living in like some kind of new world, and that they are a family, a real family. But we know that they're not a family. But their willpower makes it real. And that can also make it quite scary, because in every utopia, there is never room for everyone. That's always the big thing about utopias. It sounds wonderful, but there's never been a utopia created where there was room also for people from the outside, or that thought different, or that looked different, or that felt different. And that's kind of also the point of the film.
I don't want to give away the ending, but I could see a part two.
I'll think about that. Yeah, maybe now we'll put the leopard in the center, or the fox, or yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So, what do you hope audiences come away with after seeing the film?
I hope that watching this film will really give them something to chew on. Uh,
No pun
to
intended.
like a wolf, fox, or a leopard, they would all chew on their food for a long time, and that's kind of I mean, it presents itself in the form of a fairy tale, but there's also something really real and raw and disturbing about it, and it doesn't have any easy answers, and it kind of questions the whole act of storytelling itself, and that's why it's not a typical story. It's kind of an anti-story story. So it's really the kind of film that, if you like a film to really challenge you and to keep you thinking far after it's over, then this might really be the kind of film that you enjoy, kind of mulling over for, or the kind of film that keeps haunting you a little bit afterward. So I think that's what I'm going for. And I mean, I wanted to do something that was about our relationship with nature, obviously, our existential worry about climate change, and I was really looking for an angle that wasn't a point that was already made 1,000 times. You really have to come, and go deeper and more fundamental about what does it really mean, what's really behind it. And that's something that I didn't want people to have, when they finished watching this, like, oh, okay, well, now we kind of feel patted on the back, or we feel encouraged, or we feel like we got some kind of easy to digest answer about what to do about it. No, it's the film is kind of a slap in the face, like, like, yes, we are not the center of the world, and nature doesn't care about us necessarily. And we have to really think carefully, how to think of our position in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it makes you feel uneasy in a way after
Yeah,
watching it.
yeah,
You don't feel good.
yeah.
You know,
I'm
you
sorry. I apologize. But I think that our position in the world now in 2025, it we shouldn't feel easy about it. Some things have to change.
Agreed, agreed. Well
And
done,
and
well
and and
done.
and I try to make a film that is not political, but that still that makes it feel urgent in a very existential way. So that's what I set out to do, and well, I hope that audiences respond to it in such a way, but we'll see.
Yeah, you succeeded. I love
Thank you.
this movie.
Oh,
David, it
thank you
was so
very
much
much.
fun. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Good
Thank
luck
you
at
very much.
Tribeca.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to be back. I actually went to film school in New York, and I hadn't been back in 20 years. So I'm like walking around now, like, oh my God, wow! It's like I feel like I'm wearing virtual VR glasses, like I'm experiencing it, but I'm not there. So that's probably also the jet lag. But it's gonna be a few days, and then I'll be, I'll be here again. But immediately it feels warm and welcoming, and I'm talking to people on the street, and I'm having a blast so far. Thank you.
Great, great. We're not as nasty as people say we are.
Hell no. Hell no. I'm a New Yorker too.
All
I'm
right.
I'm keeping I'm keeping that part from my educational years. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Take good care. Nice to meet you. Enjoy
Very
the
nice to
rest of
meet
your
you too.
stay.
Thank you.
自身からの解放、新たな不思議の国を冒険することになる。
Always news. Always refreshing. Always candid. Always milling about. Robin Milling delivers what celebrities are saying to you.